Hello Taurus, and welcome to your February 2019 Lenormand reading. I'm Jade with yesYesYES, and thank you so much for visiting my channel. This has been such an amazing journey. I'm really enjoying it with you. Really, I want to give a shout out for all the likes and the shares and the subscribes. And for those who have reached out for personal readings, I've really enjoyed working with you too. Yeah, everything's really resonating and flowing really well. So if you're interested in the decks that I use, or if you're interested in a personal reading, all of that information is in the box below. So today we're going to do a Lenormand Spread. This is the Grand Tableau. It's the mother of all Lenormand Spreads. And these are the cards that were developed kind of in a gypsy way by Mademoiselle Lenormand in France. And I lay them all out. There's 36 cards, and I read them kind of like a sentence. And what I found is that this is probably the most accurate readings that I give as well as receive, because it puts everything out there. And it's really cut and dry. I call them, we're gonna do quick and dirties basically. So I just show you how everything is laid out. And then if I did a full spread for you, then we would really delve into all of the cards, the placements, the houses, and all of that. So there's so much that can keep going on with this. I could go on forever, but I'm not going to. So basically I'm pre-shuffled the cards for you, Taurus, and I'm gonna lay them out and figure out where this story for February begins for Taurus 2019. Where does this story begin? We all want to hear about the love, so let's, everything's kind of, well, the generals weren't really much about love. Some of them were, but for the most part, everything else is coming up all rosy and love bugs. So let's see what comes up here. Okay, I'm going to show them to you, and then I'll lay them out. The fox. Hopefully I get them all in the shot. Okay. The mountain, the child, the sun, the ship, the whip and ship, the book, and the cross. All right, let me check my lines here. Okay, doing pretty well here. It's a lot of cards to get into the shot. This is the Gilded Reverie Lenormand, so there is a little bit of glare. That's the clover and the scythe, the key, and the fish, the bear, and the tree, the birds, and the rider. And actually I'm going to do this. This will make it a little tighter, so it doesn't have to get all crazy. I mean, it's going to get crazy. It always does. But that's all right, Taurus. I'll go crazy for you. The stars, the tower, the paths or the stairs, the house, the clouds. There's the man card, so that's our masculine. The dog and the snake. Okay. Now we have the stork, the moon, the lilies, the anchor, the coffin. This is the garden. Sorry, it's hard to see, or the park. There's the ring, okay, and the mice. All right, and then our 4 cards at the bottom, there is the lady, and the letter, the bouquet, and the heart. Okay, I like the ladies all around this stuff. Okay, well, I made lots of extra space here, so I'm gonna move this so we can see this all a little bit better. Okay, first thing, I totally forgot to do this. Let me count the houses to see if any of the cards landed in their own houses. 1, 2. Okay, so we have the scythe landing in the house, in its own house, okay? And what that means is the scythe is a cutting, it's a clearing, and it's a movement card. So what's happening here is that this is telling us that this spread is, there's an a theme of moving things forward, of cutting things out that don't need to be there, and moving forward with life, okay? So just know that that is kind of an underlying energy here. Now, we were talking about, in the past, I've had to discuss these two significator cards. We're talking about the masculine and the feminine. Now, the feminine is here at this bottom line. So what I'll say is that this reading is really, it's an interesting layout because it's really about the masculine, and the feminine down here, she's reflecting upon all of this, okay? So I'm going to bring them back into line. This is the feminine line, this is your present, and this is your past, and all of this is the future. And then for the masculine, this will be your present, and this will be your future. And usually this bottom line is like a, it's its own thing, separate from this four lines that I work with up here. We start this reading with the fox, and we end it with the mice. So we start in a very self-secure place, but also in a place where you're taking care of yourself. You're kind of a loner. You're doing things on your own. And then we end in a place that is a little bit anxious and nervous. And it's interesting because you have the ring here. So I wonder what this will be about once we get to this place. What's got you nervous? Okay, that's the near future. Well, nearer future for the masculine, and the feminine, it's a little bit further on down the line. I usually do these reads about once a month. It's up to you how you feel about the timeline. So let's see what's going on here. So in the past, we had kind of taking care of ourselves, but doing it in a very loner way. And even connected to this mountain, it seemed like it was going on and on forever. Like doing things on your own went for a very long time. It felt like it was like the challenge of, climbing up a hill, climbing up a mountain, and doing it on your own. Now, I like that this is in the past because there was a change. There was something new, something fresh that came in, and it offered a lot of stability, security, and excitement. That sun card is here, which means that, if you had a question about if things are changing, this is telling us that absolutely they are. And they're changing because you're back on your journey, you're moving. Here's another movement card. You're moving forward. This could be a card of travel physically. It could also be that your journey, or the way in which your life is unfolding, is moving you forward. So where you were feeling stagnant, you're now moving forward. I feel like this is really, generally speaking, we don't have a specific, this is kind of work related, so we'll see how that, if we keep going. Now, we've already passed, the feminine. So things are changing in the positive for you, feminine. Now we're here on the line of the masculine. If you're the masculine Taurus, what's happening is that you've gotten to a good place with work, okay? We went from a place of working on your own. Now you're feeling a little bit better. Things are moving forward. You're starting to get back out there and travel some, maybe traveling for work. But I will say that there are some challenges coming up, and it's only because I think these are self-inflicted. The whip card means that it's there's something that happens over and over again. So it could be some type of habit that comes up when things are going well for you, and then there's a self-sabotage, and then things go well again, and then there's some kind of sabotage. So do be careful to not sabotage yourself, masculine, if you're feeling that right now, and feminine, that could be coming up for you in the future. A secret will come out about all of this and about all of this behavior, and this is, again, self-inflicted, so you can choose it or not. You can choose any of this or not, actually. But the secret or some type of learning or knowledge will be known, and that's going to give you a little bit more of a burden in the future, okay? Now, this is all work-related is what I'm finding. So, in the past, you were used to working on your own. There was a change. Something kind of brightened things up where, there was an opening or a path. Feminine, this is coming for you, where the path is opening. it feels lighter. It feels like, you know, you're on point and moving towards something. But there is some type of underlying behavior or pattern where, you know, you are creating an issue for yourself, really. And it is going to be related to some type of secret, something that just wasn't known about work initially. And it's just going to become a burden. And there might be some family issues with that. So maybe it's that work changes to a point where you need to be relocated, and that could be what sabotages your connection to your family. Okay, something very simple like that. But there is a little bit of a burden in the future. All right, so let's move to the second line here. We're starting with the clover in the past, which is nice, a nice little sweet card. So there was some luck, some sweetness, some beautiful way of living, okay? Let's just say that. And what happened was we moved through it, and it just moved quickly forward into a place of blessings, knowing that the secret, the truth about the abundance of life that you want is coming, okay? Now, this is hard for me to pull it together. Feminines, you're right in the place of understanding the truth of a situation. I think we're coming up on health. We're coming up a little bit on family too. So in the past, things were very easy, and then there was something that that came through that changed or opened up, and opened up the reality of an abundance of, and this could be authority. The bear can be authority. It could be money. It could be hardship even. So being unbearable necessarily. So there was a lot of that. And it, again, we can be talking about finances here and health. So I feel like all of those things are kind of up for you right now. Coming, if you're the feminine, if you're the masculine, you've been dealing with all of these things. You've been dealing with your finances. You've been dealing with your health situation. These might have been not things that you even thought of in the past. In the past, things were really easy, and then maybe just in the last month or so, or it just could be, even in the last year. This is really hard to know this timeline. You've just had these things to be dealing with. Dealing with your mother or your father, dealing with your boss if you do work for someone else. Your finances might have been a little strained, but I don't see too much of a strain, really. And then health situation. The masculine might be in a place where you're looking at longevity, legacy. You could be looking at your health situation currently, but a lot of this has to do with putting down roots, feeling really comfortable, making your own family even. So the masculine right now could really be thinking about that. Feminine Tauruses, that's coming for you. And now what else I'll say is that there's a lot of talk. So I think that conversation about laying down roots, about feeling stable and secure in a family situation, feeling abundant with your finances, all of that stuff you're kind of working through, you're talking about, and it is coming. Those conversations to work through, to feel good about all of this change is coming, okay? So just be aware of that to be able to process through all of this change in those situations, in work, in family, in legacy, and in finances, you're going to have to process through that in the future to get to that change point. Okay, let's move to the third line, Taurus. So here we are. This is the masculine is on this line. We also have the home here. So let's see what else comes up. So we've got some kind of destined or even famous connection that has to do with an organization. So maybe there is, this could be just being connected to a sorority or a fraternity, or going to an Ivy League school, something that was a large organization. It could be like working for Apple even, some large, very famous organization that you had a choice in making. And what you chose to do in the past is that you chose this more going for a stability in home. You wanted to be kind of locked down, okay? Now we talked about movement cards, and we had the ship, where was the ship? Up here. Okay, so the ship is kind of in the past of the masculine. It's in the near future for the feminine. We did talk about this movement that happens, this opening, and this could be, you know, that you made a choice to not move anymore, that you really wanted to build a stronger foundation. But I do think you were a little confused by this choice, and maybe this is the choice between, do you want to work for a large corporation or do you want to work from home? See how it can be very open and very straightforward in Lenormand. So you had a choice between the two, and there was some confusion if you were the masculine. If you're the feminine, you're right in the place of making this choice. And this is a choice between something that's very home related and something that is bigger than life almost, you know, famous organization of some sort, okay? Now, masculines, there's some type of loyalty. There's a friend around you, but do be aware that this friend can turn on you. And what I mean by that is that they're looking out for themselves and not you or the friendship, okay? Who you thought was a friend is actually snaky and deceitful, okay? So there's something going on underneath the covers, underneath the grass. Things are shifting underneath you, and it's with someone that you thought you can trust. So just be aware. And I'm not trying to say, you know, don't trust anybody around you. I'm just saying, do realize that people who are close to you are the ones who can turn on you and create havoc more so than anyone else. So just be open and aware of your relationships, those who are close around you, and just do check-ins with them, right? You know, maybe this month is a time for not sharing everything, even though we did talk about conversation in the past. Maybe it's not sharing everything with friends. Maybe it's processing and conversing maybe with, you know, clergy or, you know, a mentor, somebody else rather than a friend, because we just want to be aware that this can work against you sometimes, because ultimately we're all looking out for ourselves. And having loyalty is something that we all learn. We have to learn to make the best choices for our relationships, as well as the best choices for us. So, you know, it's a fine line. It's a balancing point. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Masculine, feminine. That is a connection to your masculine. And he may feel, the feminine, when you meet this masculine in the future, because you're looking towards him in the future, he might be a friend actually who becomes something more. And just know that you also need to just be aware that there might be some things underlying that you just have to ask about. Be very honest about how you're feeling. If there's any trigger points or any intuitive nudges that you're getting, just ask, you know, just talk about things, because that's really what the snake is. It's just things that go unspoken, things that go unseen, and a lot of it is the elephant in the room kind of things, okay? So that's our third line. Here we go, fourth line. We've got some new beginnings, and they were new emotional beginnings. And for the lady, here we are in this place of, now the lilies is very sensual, but it's also like antiquated, right? So it can be like older conversation, older situation, it could be an old relationship even. But I'm feeling like since there was some new beginning with emotional connection, with your intuitive knowingness, right? You've really been working on being intuitive, Taurus. I really feel like, and actually I feel like it's something that's natural for you, but you've also been feeling into what is possible with this intuition and building it even. And so what I'm feeling is that this is a very like sensual, supple place that you are. And this has to do with your sensuality and your emotional openness and stability here, okay? So there's a lot of this change that's come forward, specifically for the female because it's closer to her, that is about an emotional opening, okay? And now masculines, this is in your past, but this is very subconscious. It's been happening to you, but not necessarily in a conscious way. Now, we do have a transformation, and that transformation is happening very publicly, and it's happening because of a commitment that was already connected or entered into, and it gives you a little bit of anxiety, okay? So what's happening here, what I'm seeing is that if, Taurus, if you are in relationship For the feminine, in the future, there's going to be a change, a change in your public, in your public, public connections. Okay, so this could mean just announcing that you're in relationship. It could be that you're announcing that you're not in relationship. Okay, either way, whenever this public knows this, that's what's going to make it a little nervous, a little nerve-wracking for you. And for the masculine, this is again underneath so I think all of this stuff is going to happen without you necessarily knowing that this conversations, this nervousness, this anxiety, the changes in the public stature is going to happen underneath, underneath. You're not making that happen. It's just happening without you, if that makes sense. It's going to happen underneath the covers. I keep saying that, but that's not what I mean. It's shifting beneath your vision, I guess. I'm sorry, my words are lacking at the moment. So what I'll say is, for feminine, you see this change, this transformation coming. It's something that does involve the public, and it is a connection with the public that brings some type of anxiety, ultimately, some type of nervousness. And it could be a relationship. The heart card is here, but it's underneath everything. And, between you two, there's quite a bit of a path, okay? There is stability, there is transformation, and the public does see this connection, okay? So this could be that you guys are announcing that you are publicly connected, and there's some nervousness, like saying, oh my gosh, does everybody know? Is it okay for everybody to know? And the other thing is that if this is a long-term relationship, perhaps there's a change in that relationship, and that's what's going to be known publicly, and that's where the anxiety comes in, okay? Now, because of this interaction being a little bit far away, it's hard for me to know one way or the other. But what I will say is that all these cards, all the blessing cards, are down here with the feminine. So it looks as if the feminine is very much in relationship, or she is feeling very connected to her heart center and her emotions, okay? I think that the masculine is going through a lot of issues with work and this loyalty. So I think that the feminine is really going through a lot of love situation here, okay? So the feminine, there's some letters, some talks, some blessings about hearts and love, and all the good stuff is coming from you. These are all very positive cards. So here's what I'm gonna sum up for you, Taurus, is that if you're the masculine, you might already be in a relationship that's kind of unfolding in a way that that you're not really involved in the unfolding, I guess I should say, that it's all kind of happening and you're fine with it. You're really worried about work. You're really worried, you're a Taurus, so yes. You're worried there's gonna be a friendship that you're gonna keep your eye on, your home situation, you're really worried about the security. Now, if you're the feminine, you're in this emotionally open, beautiful, supple place that you've been healing and been opening and opening and opening to love, to commitment. And even though it's scary, even though there's nervousness, I really feel like it's all beautifully blessed. You're receiving all of, you're receiving texts and emails, beautiful words of love and encouragement, support from your family, from the people around you, and ultimately love. So for the feminine, it's looking really beautiful because you're sitting into that emotional place. And for the masculine, you're taking care of business. And I feel like ultimately, if you're balancing both your feminine and your masculine, you're receiving both of these blessings. So Taurus, this is a great reading for February. I really hope you like it. If you do resonate, please leave me a comment in the box below. And if you want to go into doing a Lenormand Spread deeper, just book a reading with me and go to my website. Otherwise, I'm going to send you all of my love.